What if your dreams are not mere mental noise or the brain's nightly cleanup process? What if they are messages, hidden codes woven by the subconscious, whispered lessons from your karma, or echoes from a life you've already lived and forgotten? And what if you're not supposed to remember them? Have you ever woken up with a strange, haunting feeling, like something profound had just happened, but you can't quite remember what? A flicker of light, a distant voice, a place that felt realer than real, gone in seconds. You're left with only the soft imprint of an experience you can no longer reach. We call them dreams, but what if they're more than that? In this video, we're going to take you deep into the mysteries of dream recall, or more precisely, dream amnesia. Why do we forget our dreams so easily? Is it just a glitch in how memory works, or is there something far more ancient and spiritual at play? Welcome to Mindful Healing, a channel where we reflect on the deeper truths of life, mindfulness, and philosophy together. Buddhist wisdom has long held that dreams are more than illusions. They are gateways. They reflect our karma, reveal our unresolved emotions, and sometimes even give us access to dimensions beyond the waking world. But there's a catch. The more powerful the dream, the more likely we are to forget it. Why? Through this journey, we'll explore stories of those who've glimpsed beyond the veil, practices to awaken conscious dreaming, and truths that may shake the way you see not just your sleep, but your entire life. We'll talk about karma, Maya, the great illusion, and how your ego may be sabotaging your spiritual evolution in the most subtle of ways. This isn't just about dreams. It's about awakening, about learning to see beyond what's visible and remember what your soul already knows. We're going to look into what Buddhist masters have taught for centuries, teachings that are now being rediscovered by modern seekers around the world. Whether you're someone who never remembers dreams, or you wake up haunted by ones you can't explain, this video will offer you something deeper, a mirror, a map, a moment of awakening. So stay with us until the end, because the truth about your dreams might just be the key to understanding your waking life. The forgotten world within, why dreams slip away. Chapter 1, The Mystery of Dream Amnesia, a Spiritual Blindfold. We wake up knowing something happened, but it's gone. A feeling lingers, a symbol perhaps, a staircase, a voice, a flash of light, but the rest slips through our fingers like smoke. Why is it so difficult to remember our dreams, especially the ones that feel important? At first glance, science offers us a tidy explanation. Dreams occur during REM sleep, and unless we wake up at just the right moment, we don't retain the memory. Simple as that. Our brains, focused on waking survival, deem dreams unworthy of long-term storage. But if that's the whole truth, why do some dreams feel like they were meant to be remembered? Why do some dreams keep knocking at the door of our memory, only to vanish when we open it? From the Buddhist perspective, the forgetting of dreams is not a failure. It is a deliberate part of our spiritual condition. In other words, your dreams may not be gone, they may be hidden. Not a flaw, but a filter. Buddhist philosophy teaches that our minds are multi-layered. On the surface lies the waking consciousness, the everyday self that cooks, works, plans, and worries. Below that is the subconscious, where impressions, traumas, and karmic imprints from this life and even past lives reside. Beneath it all is the unconscious, a vast ocean of karmic seeds, emotional energy, and spiritual memory we haven't yet unlocked. Dreams often rise from these deeper layers, but when they try to pass through the threshold into our waking awareness, something gets in the way. What is that something? For many of us, it is fear. Not the kind of fear you feel during a nightmare, but a deeper, more primal fear. The fear of knowing too much about ourselves, of confronting things our waking mind isn't ready for. When you forget a dream, it may be because your mind is protecting you, Not because you're weak, but because you're not yet spiritually equipped to hold what that dream contained. That's not a judgment. It's a sign, a message that you are standing at the doorway of something greater, if you choose to listen. Karma's veil. According to Buddhist teachings, dreams are deeply connected to karma, the web of causes and conditions we've created through thoughts, speech, and action. Some dreams are reflections of unresolved karma from this life. Others are echoes from past incarnations, trying to reach us. Now imagine if we were to remember every single karmic ripple from every lifetime, every heartbreak, every misdeed, every unhealed sorrow. We would be overwhelmed, emotionally, psychologically, even physically. So, a veil is drawn, not by some external force punishing us, but by the very structure of our spiritual mind, an act of self-preservation. The unconscious mind says, "Not yet. You're not ready." This karmic veil is not permanent. In fact, as we grow in mindfulness, compassion, and self-awareness, the veil begins to thin. You begin to remember, not just dreams, but parts of your soul you forgot you lost. I remember speaking with a woman in her 50s who had just begun exploring meditation. After a few weeks of consistent practice, she came to me, confused and even a bit shaken. She said, "I've started having these dreams. I wake up knowing they were important, but it's like someone erased them. I just feel unsettled." When I asked her what she felt during those dreams, she paused. "Guilt," she said, "and grief, but I don't know why." She later discovered, through journaling and quiet reflection, that these feelings connected with unresolved pain from childhood, a story she had buried for decades. The dreams had opened a door, but her waking mind, still afraid, tried to slam it shut. This is common. In Buddhist psychology, emotional blockages, such as guilt, anger, or shame, act like heavy curtains over the window of spiritual insight. Dreams try to shine through, but they are distorted or forgotten the moment we awaken. Healing these emotional knots is key to remembering not just our dreams, but our deeper nature. When the mind isn't ready, one of the most humbling truths in Buddhist practice is this: there are things you're not supposed to know until you're ready. This isn't about worthiness, it's about preparation. If a young child stumbles upon a complex math equation, they will see only chaos. But when they're ready, that same equation becomes a key to understanding. Dreams are the same. They are truths, lessons, even warnings. But if we are not yet grounded, the message will vanish before it does more harm than good. And so, many of us forget. But forgetfulness isn't the end. It's the beginning of a call to become more present, more aware, and more curious about the hidden parts of ourselves. Because when we begin to remember, even fragments, we begin to awaken. In next chapter, we'll explore how karmic energy plays out through recurring dreams, symbolic visions, and the emotional residues of our past lives. I'll also introduce real-life cases and traditional Buddhist interpretations of dream symbols and patterns. Chapter 2, Karma in the Dream World. The echoes that won't fade. Some dreams refuse to disappear. They return night after night, barely changing, always carrying the same emotion, the same symbols, the same unfinished story. A hallway you keep walking, but never find the end. A stranger watching you from afar. A door that never opens. You wake up, heart racing, mind full of questions. Why this dream again? In Buddhism, nothing happens by chance. Every phenomenon, every emotion, every image, even in dreams, is the result of karma. And some dreams repeat because your karma is still waiting to be seen, understood, and transformed. In dreams, karma doesn't speak in words. It speaks through symbols, unconscious, emotional, often illogical to the thinking mind, but deeply precise to your soul. A man once dreamed of falling off a cliff every time he slept, No one pushed him, no clear reason, just the feeling of completely losing control, then waking up in a cold sweat. Through meditation and journaling, he realized the sensation of falling mirrored his fear of failure, rooted in his youth, when a mistake he made cost his family everything. He had never forgiven himself. The dream wasn't punishing him. It was trying to illuminate the dark corners of his heart, the places where he was still trapped. In Buddhist teachings, this is known as karmic residue, the remnants of actions, emotions, and thoughts that were never fully processed. When these fragments haven't been resolved in waking life, they find their way back through dreams. The link between dreams and past lives. Not all dreams come from this lifetime. Some are echoes from past lives, unfinished memories, unhealed emotions, unresolved vows. Have you ever dreamed of speaking a language you don't know, living in an ancient time, or felt a powerful sense of having been someone else? Buddhism calls this karmic memory from previous incarnations, and when it appears in dreams, it signals that an old karmic thread is rising up, seeking release. But if you don't pay attention, you'll miss the message. If you don't pause to listen, to feel, you'll wake up and dismiss it as just a weird dream. When karma guides the dream in the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha taught that the mind carries the imprint of every past action. Nothing is ever truly lost. It only waits until the moment is right to rise again, and dreams are one of those moments. For example, you dream of being imprisoned for no reason? That could be the feeling of being trapped in a relationship, a belief, or a lifetime of suppression. You dream of running from something but don't know what? That may be karma tied to guilt you've never faced. You dream of healing someone with your hands. That might be a karmic calling, an invitation to return to a purpose you once lived in a previous life. You don't have to figure it all out. Sometimes simply acknowledging, this is karma, is enough to begin the process of transformation. Karmic dreams don't come to make you suffer. They come to remind you that your journey is not over. They are the bell that rings to awaken the part of your soul you've forgotten. An invitation to return to the deeper truth of who you are. You don't need to fear your dreams. You only need to listen. Because sometimes a dream is where karma and awakening meet. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into the psychological and spiritual mechanisms behind forgetfulness, exploring how deep-seated fear, ego defense, and emotional repression can sever us from the truths our dreams are trying to reveal. Chapter 3, Fear, Suppression, and the Silent Mind. Why we forget what matters most. Not all dreams are vague or blurry. Some dreams are incredibly vivid. They leave you waking up with a heavy heart or the sense that you've just stepped out of another world. But then, within minutes, everything vanishes, leaving only a fragile emotion and a soft, aching sense of loss. Why do we forget what seems to matter the most? Why are the most powerful, emotional, and symbol-rich dreams, the ones that feel deeply real, often the quickest to fade? The brain isn't failing you, it's protecting you. Modern psychology tells us that one of the brain's natural defense mechanisms is to protect you from emotional overload. This happens not only during waking life, but also in dreams. If a dream brings you too close to an unhealed wound, a buried memory, or suppressed fear, the brain may activate a memory block almost instantly. In Buddhism, this mechanism is seen from a deeper spiritual perspective. When the mind is not yet spacious enough to receive a truth, that truth withdraws. In other words, we don't forget because we are weak. We forget because the mind isn't ready to hold what the dream contains. The quiet fear of knowing too much. Fear doesn't always come as nightmares or panic. Sometimes it's quiet. It's the fear of facing ourselves, the fear that we may be living the wrong life, the fear that we're playing a role that isn't truly ours, the fear of confronting forgotten, wounded, or rejected parts of our being. And when a dream brings that truth, through symbols, sensations, or emotions, The mind's defense system may turn off the lights before we have a chance to see. Not to harm us, but to wait until we're strong enough to witness without breaking. The silent mind. A door that stays closed in Tibetan Buddhism, there is a concept called the silent mind, a state where the soul touches something deeply profound during a dream, but the waking consciousness cannot translate it into words or logic. You didn't forget the dream. It simply lives on a deeper level, waiting for you to return through meditation, through breath, through gentle observation, like a seed resting quietly beneath the earth, not lost, only waiting for light. I once met a woman who often dreamed of a child standing in the rain, quietly watching her. She couldn't hear the child speak or see its face clearly, only feel a sorrow that pierced her to the core. At first, she dismissed it as a random dream, but through meditation and journaling, she began to connect the pieces until a forgotten memory surfaced. She had an abortion in her youth, something she had never spoken of, not even to herself. The child in the dream wasn't coming to accuse her. It came to be held, to be acknowledged, to be loved. The dream said nothing, but it touched the heart. And when the heart was quiet enough, it could finally hear the invitation. When we don't remember because we're afraid to feel sometimes, it's not that we forget. We simply don't dare to feel again. We drown the mind in noise. We run from stillness into work, entertainment, overthinking. But the emotions don't disappear. They stay hidden and return through a dream, a mysterious ache, or an overreaction to something small. And if you have the courage to stay with tenderness, without judgment, the dream won't abandon you. It will come back, not to haunt, but to heal. Unlocking forgotten dreams. If you feel like you've been losing your dreams, here are a few gentle practices you can start today. 1. Sit with the feeling. Don't rush to analyze. When you wake up, don't try to force recall through logic. Ask your heart, what did I feel in the dream? 2. Breathe into the stuck emotion. If you feel tightness in your chest, a lump in your throat, or a knot in your stomach, breathe into it, gently, without force. 3. Write, even when it's unclear. Maybe you only remember a color, a single word, a vague image. Write it down. Then come back later. The pieces will begin to reveal themselves. Conclusion. Forgetting is a door not yet opened. You haven't truly forgotten the dream. You're just not yet ready to bring it home. And that's not a flaw. It's an invitation. Every time you return with gentleness, the dream draws closer. Every time you're brave enough to feel, a layer of fog dissolves. And one day, what you thought was lost will return, like an old friend. In the next chapter, we'll explore out-of-body experiences, OBEs, multi-dimensional dream landscapes, and why some dreams feel so real they leave you with the sense of having just lived another life. Chapter 4. Out-of-body journeys, dream dimensions, and the sacred silence. There are dreams you forget instantly, but there are also dreams that stay with you, not as stories, but as sensations, a heaviness in the heart, a strange nostalgia, a feeling that something profound just happened, but you can't quite explain it. Sometimes you wake up with the sense that you've been somewhere, not just dreaming, but traveling, and then returning. And perhaps you really have. In this chapter, we explore one of the most mystical and often misunderstood possibilities within Buddhism and other spiritual traditions, that some dreams are not imagination, but real experiences, out-of-body journeys, where the subtle body travels through realms beyond time and space, beyond the physical body, subtle realms in Buddhist thought. In Tibetan Buddhism, the dream state is not merely a psychological event. It's a spiritual opportunity, a transitional space between worlds where the soul, free from the weight of the body, can explore realms of karma, insight, and sometimes danger. This is where dream yoga comes in, an advanced tantric practice in which practitioners train to maintain awareness within dreams. Through years of disciplined practice, they develop the ability to separate consciousness from the physical form and intentionally journey into other states of being. And what they discover is extraordinary. Some describe soaring through radiant celestial realms, communicating with luminous beings, or witnessing karmic visions from previous lifetimes. Others recount meeting deceased loved ones, being guided by protectors, or seeing their own physical body from above. And yet, most people, even after powerful experiences like these, wake up and remember nothing at all. Why? Sacred silence. Why we forget deep dreams. There is a saying in mystical traditions, the deeper the dream, the quieter the memory. In Buddhist understanding, the human mind is conditioned to function within samsara, the limited realm of logic, karma, and dualistic perception. But out-of-body experiences take place in extraordinary states of awareness, where logic, ego, and even time no longer apply. When you wake up, the ego mind snaps back into control. That couldn't have been real. And just like that, the memory fades. But Buddhist masters remind us, this forgetting is not accidental. It is protective. Just as the sun would blind a child's eyes, an untrained mind cannot handle the full scope of these subtle experiences. The truths are too vast, the energies too delicate, and so the mind erases them to keep you safe. Yet, fragments remain, feelings, symbols, echoes without words. How to know if a dream is more than just a dream? So how can you tell whether a dream was ordinary or something more? Look for these signs. You wake up feeling exhausted even after a full night's sleep. The dream was unusually vivid, structured, and coherent, not chaotic. You felt like someone or something was watching over you or guiding you. The dream lingers for days, leaving an emotional or spiritual imprint. You sense a lesson was transmitted, even if you can't recall the content. If any of this feels familiar, it's very possible that you touched another realm. Preparing the mind for subtle dreaming. To remember these sacred dreams more clearly, traditional Buddhist practice encourages 3 key disciplines. 1. Purify your intention. Approach dreaming as sacred, not for entertainment. Before bed, recite a mantra or offer a prayer. May tonight's sleep be part of my spiritual path. 2. Cultivate daily mindfulness. The more aware you are during the day, the more likely you'll carry that awareness into sleep. Observe small details. Question what feels real. This habit of questioning transfers into dreams. 3. Dream journaling with gratitude. Even if you remember only a feeling, write it down. This sends a signal to your subconscious. I am listening. Over time, your recall will become deeper and clearer. Some dreams are not dreams at all. They are journeys, teachings, initiations for the soul. And if you don't remember them, that doesn't mean they didn't happen. It may simply mean they are still unfolding inside you. According to Buddhist wisdom, the path to awakening is not only walked in daylight, it continues through the night. And sometimes the deepest teachings arrive not in words, but in silence. So if your dreams are quiet, don't despair, because the sacred often speaks in whispers. In the next chapter, we'll move from mystery to method, exploring powerful tools from Buddhism and psychology to help you improve dream recall, decode symbolic messages, and transform your sleeping mind into a vital part of your spiritual journey. On Chapter 5, Past Lives and Dreams, Echoes from Another Time. Have you ever had a dream so vivid, so emotionally intense, that it didn't feel like a dream at all, but a memory? You're in a place you've never been in waking life. You speak a language you don't know. You wear different clothes, live a different life. And yet it all feels deeply, hauntingly familiar. When you wake, a strange sadness lingers, or a joy, or a grief that seems too deep to be explained by this lifetime alone. In the eyes of Buddhist wisdom, this is no accident. You may have just glimpsed a past life. Karma never dies. It only transforms. In Buddhist teachings. Death is not an end. It is a transition. Just as a flame passes from one candle to another, the stream of consciousness, called vijnana in Sanskrit, moves from one life to the next, shaped by karma. Every thought, action, and intention plants a seed. And while the body may decay, these karmic seeds endure. They don't just influence your current life. They may shape the dreams you don't understand, the emotions you can't explain, and the situations you keep repeating. So what happens when one of those seeds cracks open while you sleep? A dream becomes a time machine, not into imagination, but into memory. The nature of past life dreams. How do past life dreams differ from regular ones? While ordinary dreams tend to be fragmented, surreal, or nonsensical, past life dreams often carry these distinct qualities. Vividness. The colors, textures, and emotions are unusually intense. Coherence. The dream follows a storyline or context that feels historically grounded. Emotional resonance. The feelings are powerful and linger for days, or even years. Moral or karmic undertones. The dream reveals lessons, regrets, or longings tied to spiritual evolution. But perhaps the most telling sign is this. You wake up not confused, but with the strange certainty that what you saw was real. Let me share the story of a man I met during a meditation retreat in Northern California. He was a kind, gentle artist in his late 30s. But one morning, after a particularly deep session of Vipassana, he came to me, visibly shaken. "I had a dream," he said, "but it wasn't a dream. I was a soldier. In Europe, I think. There was a war. I died in the snow." He paused. "I heard music. Right before I died. A woman was singing in a language I don't know, but the sound, I can still feel it." For weeks, he couldn't forget that melody. He even tried to hum it to his partner, who recognized it as a fragment of a French lullaby, something the man had never heard before. Later, during journaling and dream reflection, he realized that the dream was showing him something unresolved. Not guilt, but yearning. In that life, he had died with music in his ears and a love he had never spoken. The dream was not just a memory, it was a message, a call to express love more openly in this life, to not leave words unsaid. This is how past lives speak, not through drama, but through echoes of unfinished truths. Why past life memories emerge through dreams? There are several reasons why dreams become the channel for past life recall. 1. The ego sleeps. During the day, the ego filters experience. It says, "This is me. That is not me." But in sleep, the ego loosens. The boundaries soften. The soul speaks more freely. 2. The subconscious unlocks. Memories from past lives are not stored in your conscious brain. They are stored in the deep karmic layers of the mind. Dreams create a momentary access point. 3. The message is timely. These memories often surface when you're spiritually ready to receive them. They're not random. They're relevant. The past comes to inform the present. Buddhism doesn't encourage obsession with past lives. The point is not to romanticize who you were, but to understand how karma continues. As the Dalai Lama has said, whether you believe in past lives or not, what matters is how you live this one. However, if dreams offer insight into karmic patterns, fears, attachments, regrets, then they are worthy of reflection. If you dream of drowning again and again, it may not mean fear of water, but a symbol of being overwhelmed by unresolved grief from a prior life. If you dream of protecting a child fiercely, it might reflect a karmic debt to a soul you once failed to protect. Buddhist monks often use dreams as diagnostic tools, asking, "What emotion lingers? What action did I take? or avoid? What truth is this dream trying to show me? And most importantly, what can I do in this life to bring healing to that karma? The past lives on through you. Not all dreams are glimpses of past lives, but when they are, they don't arrive to confuse you. They come to remind you that who you are today is shaped not just by this lifetime, but by a deeper story that stretches across time, choices, and reincarnation. Your soul has walked many roads, and sometimes it leaves footprints in your dreams. So the next time you wake up with a strange knowing, a sorrow you can't explain, or a longing that feels ancient, pause, reflect, listen. You may have just received a message from yourself. The next two parts will be relatively heavy in Buddhist theory. They might be a bit difficult to absorb, but they are important. I also want to introduce these ideas so that more people can begin to have a basic understanding of Bardo. Chapter 6 discusses Bardo, the intermediate states between life and death, and how our nightly dreams are gateways for practicing awareness before entering death. Dreams help us become familiar with the karmic images that will arise after death and prepare us for liberation. Chapter 7 focuses on integrating the wisdom from dreams into our waking life. When we live with the same awareness as in lucid dreams, those dreams become tools for transforming consciousness and help us live with presence, compassion, and freedom. I will do my best to simplify the content, and if there are still parts that feel confusing or unnecessary, please let me know so I can improve in the future. For those who are hearing this for the first time, it might be difficult to accept or understand. Please listen with full awareness and try to remember what you can. This is a process, and I truly believe that one day you will fully understand. Chapter 6, The Soul's Journey Through the Night. Bardo states in the Sacred Continuum, there are moments in life when time feels suspended, when you're no longer here, but not yet somewhere else. That space in between breaths, between lives, between dreams and waking, is what Tibetan Buddhism calls Bardo. And according to the ancient teachings, we pass through Bardos every single day. We cross them in deep sleep, in meditation, in heartbreak, in death, and yes, in dreams. This chapter explores the mysterious terrain of the Bardo states, those sacred thresholds that exist beyond our waking mind, and how your nightly journey into dreams may be quietly preparing you for the greatest transition of all, death and rebirth. What is Bardo? The word Bardo literally means intermediate state. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, Bardo Todol, 6 Bardos are described, transitional phases of consciousness that span life, death, dreaming, and deep meditation. Here are the 6 Bardos briefly. The Bardo of this life, Kayenai Bardo, our waking experience. The Bardo of dream, Milam Bardo, the state of dreaming. The Bardo of meditation, Samten Bardo, deep meditative absorption. The Bardo of dying, Chikai Bardo, and the process of dying itself. The Bardo of the luminal light, Chonyid Bardo, visionary states after death. The Bardo of becoming, Sitpa Bardo, the transition into rebirth. Each Bardo is both an ending and a beginning, a space of uncertainty, but also immense potential for awakening. The most astonishing idea, every night when we sleep and dream, we enter the dream Bardo, the very same space we may travel through after death. Dreams as a glimpse of the afterlife. When you dream, your physical body sleeps, but your subtle mind awakens. It moves through visions, symbols, and realms that may seem strange. But to Tibetan practitioners, this is not random imagery. It is training for the death experience. Why? Because just as dreams arise from your karma, so too do the visions after death. The same mental forces that shape your dream tonight will shape your next life. So learning to remain aware within dreams is not just spiritual development, it is preparation for the journey after this life ends. Death and sleep. the twin portals. Buddhist teachings often compare death to falling asleep. In both states, your awareness separates from the body. In both, the ego dissolves. And in both, you are faced with visions that arise from karma, memory, and desire. But there is one difference. In sleep, you return. In death, you move forward. Unless you awaken in the Bardo. And this, say the great Tibetan masters, is where liberation becomes possible. If you recognize the Bardo for what it is, you can achieve enlightenment in a single moment. This is why advanced practitioners dedicate their lives to dream yoga and Bardo training, not to escape death, but to awaken through it. What happens in the Bardo? After death. According to Tibetan texts, right after death, the mind passes through 3 key stages. 1. The dissolution of the elements. The body breaks down earth, water, fire, and air. One experiences sensations like sinking, drying, heat, or cold. 2. The clear light of pure awareness. A luminous state appears, a brilliant radiance. For the realized practitioner, this is the ultimate opportunity to recognize the true nature of mind. If missed, the soul continues. 3. The projection of karmic visions. As in dreams, visions arise. Terrifying or blissful, they reflect your karma, not outer reality. The problem? Most beings believe these projections to be real, and so they respond with fear, clinging, or aversion, creating the seeds for their next rebirth. But if you recognize the projections as dreams, you can be free. This is the profound teaching of dream yoga in Bardo training, that lucidity leads to liberation. Preparing for the Bardo in daily life. You don't need to be near death to begin practicing for the Bardo. You can start tonight in your next dream, or now in this very breath. Here's how. 1. Daily remembrance of impermanence. Contemplate, this body will one day dissolve. Everything I love is fleeting. Let me live with grace and courage. This softens the fear of death and strengthens presence. 2. Lucid dream practice as Bardo training. As you cultivate lucidity in dreams, you train the mind to remain awake in transitions, the ultimate being death itself. 3. Tonglen and metta for the dying. Sending compassion to those who are dying or who have passed prepares your own heart to meet death with openness and love. 4. Chanting mantras. During sleep or illness. Mantras like Om Mani Padme Hum or Fat in Vajrayana. Buddhism are believed to plant seeds of clarity and peace in the Bardo state. Even hearing these mantras in the moment of death can open the door to liberation. The night prepares you for the end and the beginning. The Bardo is not something to fear. It is a teacher. It is a mirror. And every night, as you dream, you are given a chance to practice again and again the art of surrender, of lucidity, of letting go. The dream world and the Bardo are not separate. They are reflections of the same sacred continuum. And when you learn to walk through them with awareness, you are not just preparing for death, you are learning how to truly live. Chapter 7. Integration, Living a Lucid Life. Awake, we've traveled far together, through the landscapes of forgotten dreams, across the karmic echoes of past lives, through the luminous passages of the Bardos, and into the radical realization that waking life itself might just be another dream. But here's the question that matters most now. How will you live differently now that you know? This final chapter is not about knowledge. It's about integration. It's about turning insight into action, clarity into compassion, and awareness into everyday life. Because awakening is not a destination. It is a practice, a way of being. What does it mean to live lucidly? To live lucidly is not to be perfect. It is to be present. It means walking through life with eyes open, not just to beauty, but also to impermanence. It means embracing each moment, not as something to possess, but as something to meet. A lucid life is a conversation with your fear rather than a retreat from it, a breath taken with full awareness rather than lost in distraction, a choice made from clarity, not compulsion. It means seeing people, not just as roles, but as souls. It means seeing yourself, not as an identity, but as a journey. Lucidity is love. Lucidity is freedom. Lucidity is truth, lived gently. Practical ways to live a lucid life. You don't need to renounce the world or retreat to a cave to live with lucidity. Here are simple daily practices that bring dream wisdom into your every breath. 1. Morning stillness. Before grabbing your phone, sit for 3 to 5 minutes. Reflect. What do I remember from sleep? What emotions arise as I wake? What intention will I carry into today? This brief ritual grounds your day in clarity. 2. Mindful interruption. Set a reminder every few hours that simply asks, "Am I awake?" Take a breath. Notice your surroundings. Observe your thoughts. Smile softly. This habit, born from lucid dream training, becomes a spiritual anchor in daily life. 3. Evening reflection. Before sleep, ask yourself, did I live today with awareness? Where did I act from love, from fear, from habit? What will I release as I fall into the next dream? This moment of honesty prepares the subconscious for deeper dreaming and deeper living. 4. Compassion in every encounter. When you meet someone angry, scared, or closed off, remember, they too are walking through their own dream, shaped by karma, memory, and illusion. Treat them as you would a character in a dream, asking for healing, with gentleness, with presence, with grace. 5. See everything as a symbol. Begin playing with the dreamlike nature of life. That delay in traffic? A reminder to slow down. That difficult coworker? A projection of your own impatience or wounding. That unexpected kindness? A reflection of your own softening heart. Life becomes a living mandala, each piece sacred, each pattern meaningful. There was a time when I was going through deep grief. A loved one had passed. I felt numb, disconnected. But then I had a dream, a simple one. I was sitting in a garden. My loved one sat beside me. No words, just presence. The sky changed colors slowly. I turned to them and said, "Is this real?" They smiled and said, "Real enough for the love to count." I woke up in tears. That day I walked differently. I stopped demanding that everything last. I stopped trying to figure it all out. I began to cherish fleeting things more deeply, not because they were permanent, but because they were beautiful while they lasted. That was the moment my life became lucid. Not because I had all the answers, but because I no longer needed them. This life, this very moment, is temporary. The people you love, the pain you carry, the joy you taste, all of it will pass. And that is not a reason to despair. It's the reason to wake up, to love more deeply, to forgive more quickly, to release more gently, to live more fully. Because the truth is, you don't need to wait for sleep to begin dreaming, and you don't need to wait for death to begin awakening. Every breath is a chance to be lucid. So breathe now, feel now, live now, and let your life be the most beautiful dream you've ever had. May your nights be vivid. May your dreams be gentle. May your life be lucid. Namaste.